Hello my friends, welcome to this channel. I'm Anna and I help you grow beautiful and healthy plants. In this video, we're going to talk about all the problems that you may have growing orchids, phalaenopsis orchids. Maybe you have already killed one or two. I have definitely done it, so I want to help you to avoid these problems. Or if you have these problems, you can also still save your orchids. So if one of the leaves, just like this, is yellowing, maybe it's not a problem yet, but if you have more yellowing leaves on your orchids, especially 2, 3 at the same time, then this may be a problem. So let's talk about this. Well, problems with watering can be numerous. Let's talk about all of them. Underwatering is a problem, you know it, because even though these phalaenopsis orchids can stay without watering for a couple of weeks and nothing will happen, but they do like to be watered, of course, so you don't need to neglect them. However, most of the problems come up when you overwater them, and this happens the whole time. I have also overwatered and I have learned from it. Still, some of my orchids can get rotten and I try to save them. By the way, if you would like to see a separate video on how to save them, you can definitely go back and watch some of my previous videos, and also how to grow keikis, how to plant them, how to make keiki grow roots. I have several videos about these wonderful orchids, but now in this video we're talking mostly about the problems. So underwatering, overwatering is a problem, and you can see that now my orchids are wet because I have actually washed them. I just kept them under the shower and I really washed off all the dust, and hopefully also there were no pests, but if you have pests also showering may help in this case, because then you will wash off all the pests and insects. Of course, this will not be a treatment, but still it will help a lot if you keep your orchids clean as much as possible. Now, there is also a common thought that you can also see it on YouTube, on some other sources, that people really are against washing these plants. The thing is that these orchids are growing in nature, right? And they get rained on. That's totally fine. And you can also shower them and wash them just under the shower really quick. But the difference is what you do with them after you shower them. So basically, when you wash them, you need to put them in a very warm place. Even if the water goes into the crown at the very center of your orchid, it's still fine if you put them in a warm place so that they can get dry quick, like within 5 minutes, not within days, but within a couple of minutes. If that's not the case, after washing, you can still wash them, but after washing, try to make sure that you really clean the leaves and dry the leaves, and especially you remove the water from the center, from the crown of the orchid. Now you can see that here my orchid grows a baby here from the side, and also, which one is that? So not, I have a small one also here. Let me put it maybe on this side. And let me maybe show you this one. Yes, this one is growing. Look at the roots. This is a amazingly growing orchid, and look at these roots, that they are so healthy. You see the lush bright green tips, which means that the roots are actively growing. They are absorbing humidity from the air. And here this one is also growing a baby from the side. Maybe I will repot it later and make a special video for you about repotting, or about actually separating a keiki from the mother stem, because I have a video about separating a keiki from the flower spike, but maybe it's also a good idea to record a video about separating a keiki from the mother stem and showing you what you do next with them. But of course, also the problem with overwatering is that the whole crown, the whole root system can get rotten, and you will not even notice if you don't grow your orchids in transparent pots. This is a very good idea. Of course, you grow orchids in transparent pots, first of all, because the roots are also participating in the photosynthesis. They can not absorb, but basically they can do the whole process of photosynthesis, seeing a little bit of sunlight. But what most important is that I think transparent pots are useful in this case, because then you see it earlier when there is a problem with roots. So if you see through the transparent pot that some or most of the roots are rotten, this is definitely an indicator for you that you need to do something about it, because in a couple of days the whole plant may be rotten. Now here you see one yellow leaf. If it's only one leaf and it's an old leaf, you don't need to worry about it at all, especially when you see through the pot that the roots are healthy. And by healthy, I mean they can be green, they can be silver, but they should not be brown or black especially, right? And especially they should not have mold on them. Sometimes you can even see mold through the transparent pot. However, if you see that 2-3 leaves of one of your orchids get yellow or brown, unhealthy at the same time, so 2-3 leaves getting unhealthy on one plant is already an indicator that there is a problem, and the problem is most probably with the roots. Again, it's overwatering. So definitely what I recommend here, you can take the plant out of the pot, check the roots, see if some of the roots are rotten, remove them and plant them back. I have a separate video about that. I'm not going to go into detail now about that topic, but basically underwatering is one of the major problems. The next problem with these orchids is also lack of bright light. They like to grow in indirect bright sunlight. However, they can be burnt under the direct sunlight. If you grow them in the shade, they may stop blooming completely, or they will not even grow that fast. They don't really grow fast at all, but even this can be slower if you grow them in the shade. And also I already talked a little bit about their natural habits, how they grow and where they grow. Of course, they in the natural environment, the air humidity is also very high. These are tropical plants, and where they grow, the air humidity is very high. So if you grow them in your places where you have very dry air or it's not sufficient for them, maybe use an air humidifier. Spraying will not really help, I think, because it's not really good to also always have moisture on the leaves, but if the air in general is humid, they will grow even faster because all these aerial roots are absorbing the air, are absorbing the humidity from the air, and that's how they grow and help the plant also thrive. So the more roots your plant has, the healthier it is and the faster it will grow. And of course, the next problem with these plants can be pests or insects. Most often you can see mealybugs, scale, very often spider mites, and even thrips. I had thrips 2 years ago. It was so hard to get rid of it because it is hiding in this inside of the leaves, inside of the crown, and it's very hard to remove them. But constantly washing them and always keeping all of your plants, not only orchids, all of your plants as clean as possible will definitely help you to reduce the risk of having pests on your plants. But if you have it, it's also not a problem. Don't throw away the whole plant, but try to maybe treat it with soap water, with neem oil. If this doesn't help, if you have a lot of pests and you can't get rid of them, only then maybe try to use some pesticides. I always use first soap water with neem oil inside. Of course, it stinks a lot. Neem oil is definitely something that you don't really want to use in your home inside, but definitely it helps a lot. You can even use neem oil just from time to time, once maybe in 2 months, just to spray all your plants, just to make sure that it will not be attracting pests. If you have any specific questions about these orchids, if you have any problems growing them right now, please write your questions in the comments. I will be very happy to help you with them. And don't worry, even if you are not successful growing them for 1 or 2 times, it's not a problem. We're all learning, and I myself, I have also killed a couple of orchids. I'm very sad and sorry for that, but it's part of the learning process, and the more we grow, the more we learn. Stay passionate about plants. I will see you in the next one.